Thank you all for tuning into another edition of Outside the Shop with me, your host, Daryl D. Lane, where I get to talk about everything that I normally don't get a chance to talk about on a regular sports podcast, Barbershop Sports Talk, which you guys can all find on Spotify, iTunes, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iRadio, SoundCloud, or whichever podcasting Apple platform you may use. Check on the descriptions below. Mike Tomlin, should he go to USC? Will he go to USC? You guys have to say. Thank you to everybody who's tuning in via Twitter/Periscope, Facebook Live, YouTube live stream. I really appreciate it. So without ado, let's start right here. Chiefs versus Giants. The Chiefs win. I liked how the Chiefs used a lot of motion. They were using a lot with Tyreek Hill. McCole Hardman can keep using those speedsters in the backfield. I thought it confused the Giants defense a lot. The Chiefs are starting to change their style a little bit, even though they're still willing to make Patrick Mahomes make tough play after tough play after tough play. I think they're being more cognizant. They have to diversify their offense just a tad bit. Also, what I do want to say on the Giants part is Daniel Jones is not as bad as people say he is. I'll tell you this, he's better than Jimmy Garoppolo. I was just, and by the way, stay tuned for this. My top 32 quarterbacks for this next quad of the NFL season's about to come up. He's arguably a top 15 guy. Like Daniel Jones is close to being a top 15 guy. He has a bad situation with the Giants. The receivers are struggling. The offensive line is putrid. This dude gets thrashed every game, and he just plays solid football. He's athletic, can run, can use, makes decent decisions. We've had a fumbling issue, but it gets a lot worse than Daniel Jones, folks. It gets a lot worse than Daniel Jones. So I want to get my NFL power rankings real quick. So at number 10, I have the Baltimore Ravens. Coming after a bye week, they stay at 10. I think that's pretty reasonable, pretty fair for Baltimore. At number 9, I have the Cincinnati Bengals. Just an awful loss to the New York Jets. They have to slide down. At 8, I have the Raiders. Hey, surprise, surprise, surprise. The Raiders have the second best record in the AFC throughout everything that's happened. Derek Carr is still playing really good football. It'll be interesting to see how they deal with the fact that they're going to be without speedster Henry Ruggs for what one would assume a long time after his little DUI and thoughts and prayers out to that family that he ended up killing, by the way. New Orleans Saints at 7, big Buccaneers. They were able to win with their backup quarterback, Trevor Siemian. They have a very good defense. They have solid wide receivers. They do a lot of cool and interesting stuff with Alvin Kamara in the passing and run game with Sean Payton. The Saints are a formidable team, and we see it given the fact what they did to the Packers on opening week, right? And then we see them body bags. Those are 2 elite wins that they have. Not many other teams have more elite wins than the Saints do, which is kind of crazy when you think about it. Number 6, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, defending Super Bowl champions, losing to the Saints notched them down a lot. I know the Saints struggled against the Seattle Seahawks 13-10, and then for the Saints to come out after that and then beat the Buccaneers. That has to lower them down. Number 5, I have the Buffalo Bills that just keep on keeping on. Would have liked to see them dominate the Dolphins a little bit more, but to me, they're the best in the AFC right now. Number 4 are the Arizona Cardinals. They were one for a long time in the rankings, but no shame in losing to the Packers. They can easily move up as the season goes forward. And number 5, I have the Green Bay Packers. Arizona, as they just hand them their first loss of the season. Aaron Rodgers is playing phenomenal football. Number 2, I have the Dallas Cowboys. This was very tricky. 1 and 2 was very tricky. The Dallas Cowboys, they are extremely special. To go on the road in Minnesota with their backup quarterback, he throws for 300 yards, and they just play outstanding football on defense as well. Great one-on-one tackling. They have guys like Randy Gregory screaming off the inch. Micah Parsons has become one of the best front 7 players in the entire NFL. Dallas is a scary team, folks, and their only loss is to Tampa Bay in the beginning of the year, opening week, with Dak Prescott still getting back in the swing of things after coming off a catastrophic injury. And at number 1, the LA Rams. Now, the LA Rams just got done blowing out the Houston Texans, but also what they've done is they've added Von Miller into the mix. You add him with Leonard Floyd and Aaron Donald. We're talking about one of the best front 7s in the NFL now. That just ups them up another level. The Rams are scary, folks. Matt Stafford's playing at an MVP level, so I have the Rams at number 1. So I want to get to this. So now Deshaun Watson, Trey Rubers, the Dolphins won't trade for Texans QB ahead of the deadline. I think this is interesting. So much talk. I think what this is kind of showing is that possibly Nick Caserio, John Garrell guy, by the way, so can't hate on him too much, right? But I think maybe Nick Casero's overplaying his hand and wants too much for Deshaun, where these other teams are willing to plunge for that, right? I understand you may want Deshaun, and as it says, we're having connection issues right now. Okay, I think we're back. But with Deshaun, right? Deshaun could obviously would normally command a pretty big price, but if you don't know what's going to go on with them, you can't ask for as much. So I think maybe Nick Casero's overplaying his hand right there, and this is probably going to get done in the off season when there's more clarity on the Deshaun Watson case. Quickly, I want to get to Derrick Henry. Really sad. This is going to really hurt the Tennessee Titans in a big way. They are so special because they're able to run the ball and dictate pace with that monster running game that they have. Without that, really hurts the team. They say 6 to 10 weeks. At best case scenario, that puts them on the field week 16, week 17 of the season at worst. That puts him in there a wild card weekend divisional round of the playoffs. And if he's playing at that point, you're not going to give him 40 carries, 30 plus carries like you normally would because you want to ease him back into it. So that hurts too. So I think this has kind of made the Titans all about done in the playoff race, which is, excuse me, in the Super Bowl chase, not the playoff race. I think they should still make the playoffs. I don't expect that epic of a collapse without Derrick Henry, but it could happen, but I don't expect it. But that's what they're looking at right now. And it's really sad to see because Derrick Henry's a pleasure to watch play. There are a couple guys that you can say 20 years from now, hey, I got to see player X play. For me, Tom Brady's like that. I think Aaron Rodgers is like that. I think Patrick Mahomes is like that. And when you talk about non-quarterbacks, guys that are like that, Derrick Henry and Aaron Donald are two guys that come to mind. And I'm just like, it is a pleasure to watch those two guys play football because of how hard they play and how dominant they are at their respective positions. Also, the LA Rams, and I talked about this in Power Rankings a little bit. That's why they're number one. They are getting Von Miller. This completely changes the whole flow of their team, everything they're about. You talk about now you're trying to triple team Aaron Donald. Then you have Von Miller screaming off the edge. That is a problem. Also, Von Miller's very underrated in coverage as well. Still one of the best pass rushers in the NFL, and he's going to be getting a lot of one-on-ones. That's going to make him even better. I think the Rams are gearing up because I think they know they're going to have to. The end game here, Avengers reference, by the way. The end game here is Tampa Bay and Tom Brady. What first defense? When you have a dominant front seven that gets after. That's why he struggled against Atlanta in the Super Bowl half. Speed, athleticism, quickness, pass rush. Hit him again. He's older. He's not as good as he was back in the Atlanta Super Bowl, obviously, right? You get worse with age, even though some people don't want to admit that when it comes to Tom Brady. That's what they're going for. They're going to put a lot of pressure on Brady. We also have a Denver team with Denver Broncos, Von Miller, DeMarcus Ware. They put pressure on Brady, and that's how they beat the Patriots in the AFC Championship game that year. That's what they're going to do. They're going to put a ton of pressure on Brady. I think that's the end. They're looking at number 12 there in Tampa, and they're like, that's what they're going to do. They're going to have Jalen Ramsey. Jalen Ramsey's job is going to have to be take out one of those wide receivers. You're going to see time on Gronk in the playoffs. Also, you're going to see Antonio Brown. He'll probably switch off to Mike Evans, Chris Godwin as well. But that front seven, I think that front seven is going to have to dominate and punish Brady. You punish the quarterback, you cut off the head of the snake, the body dies. Oldest reference in the book since mythology, practically. And that's all we have for this. Have a great day, everybody, and God bless. Also, by the way, for the next outside, I think what I'm going to do is a college football playoffs bracket kind of thing. I'm going to call 25 teams how the talk about the remaining schedules, what teams have a realistic chance of making it. And we can kind of go do this week by week as the college football playoff committee does their rankings. I think that's what I'm going to do for the tomorrow's show. So if you're a big college football fan, that's what I'm going to be talking about. Have a great day. God bless.